Welcome back to Surprise Insights, the place where we unlock the unexpected, one fact at a time. Today, we're taking a deep dive into 25 shocking, unsettling, and sometimes disturbing facts about the shows, movies, and characters you loved growing up. Some of these might forever change the way you see your childhood favorites. But hey, that's what we do here. Bring you the truth, no matter how surprising it may be. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on our next round of surprising insights. Ready? Let's dive in. 1. Lewis Carroll, the dark side of Alice's creator. Lewis Carroll, the author behind Alice in Wonderland, has long been the subject of troubling rumors. While he's remembered for his whimsical, imaginative works, his fascination with young girls, especially Alice Liddell, the real-life inspiration for Alice, raises uncomfortable questions. Carroll took numerous photographs of young girls, some of which were nude. Although there's no definitive proof of any wrongdoing, many biographers suggest that his intense relationships with children, combined with these photographs, point to something much darker behind the beloved children's story. 2. The nuclear truth behind SpongeBob SquarePants. Bikini Bottom might seem like a fun, carefree place, but its real-life inspiration is far more sinister. The show's creators confirmed that Bikini Bottom is located beneath the Bikini Atoll, where the U.S. conducted nuclear tests in the 1940s and 50s. According to a popular fan theory, SpongeBob and his friends are actually mutants, born from the radioactive fallout of these nuclear experiments. That's right, your favorite underwater sponge might be the result of nuclear mutation. Suddenly, the wild antics of the SpongeBob cast don't seem so innocent, do they? 3. Christopher Robin's tragic childhood. The Winnie the Pooh stories, based on A. Milne's son Christopher Robin, were meant to be heartwarming tales of childhood. But for the real Christopher Robin Milne, growing up in the shadow of his fictional counterpart was anything but idyllic. Constantly teased by his schoolmates and overwhelmed by the public's fascination with his fictional life, Christopher grew to resent the very stories that made him famous. His relationship with his father soured, and he distanced himself from both the books and his childhood. The whimsical adventures in the 100-Acre Wood took a heavy toll on the real boy behind the character. 4. Betty Boop and the story of exploitation. Betty Boop, the flirtatious cartoon icon, was based on a real woman, African-American jazz singer Esther Jones, also known as Baby Esther. Jones was known for her boop-boop-a-doop vocal style, which Betty Boop adopted. However, Baby Esther's contribution was erased from history when a white performer, Helen Kane, sued the creators of Betty Boop, claiming the character was based on her. While Esther's influence was undeniable, she never received proper credit, and Betty Boop's fame came at the expense of Jones' erasure from the limelight. Beneath Betty's playful image lies a troubling story of racial exploitation. 5. Judy Winslow's fall from TV stardom. In Family Matters, the character of Judy Winslow mysteriously disappeared after season 4 without any explanation. It was as if she had never existed. What happened to Jamie Foxworth, the actress who played her? After being written out of the show, Foxworth struggled with finding work and eventually turned to the adult film industry to make ends meet. Her fall from grace highlights the harsh realities many child actors face after the spotlight fades. It's a sobering reminder that Hollywood doesn't always provide a happy ending. 6. Voldemort's secret French identity. Elvis? In the French translation of Harry Potter, Tom Marvolo Riddle's middle name isn't Marvolo. Elvis. To make the famous anagram, I am Lord Voldemort, work in French, the name had to be reworked. So, in the French version, the Dark Lord's name becomes Tom Elvis Jeducer. Rearranged, it spells Je suis Voldemort, I am Voldemort. While it might seem funny now, imagine growing up with the most feared wizard in the magical world being associated with the king of rock and roll. 7. The Blue Power Rangers' hidden struggles. David Yost, who played Billy the Blue Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, became a beloved character for many kids in the 90s. But behind the scenes, Yost faced severe bullying from the show's production team because of his sexuality. The harassment became so unbearable that he left the show, later undergoing conversion therapy, a traumatic and controversial practice aimed at curing homosexuality. Yost has since spoken out about his experiences, becoming an advocate for the LGBTQ+ community. It's a heartbreaking reality that one of our favorite childhood heroes was battling his own personal demons off-screen. 8. Wile E. Coyote's eternal punishment. Ever wonder why Wile E. Coyote can never catch the Road Runner, no matter how hard he tries? According to a fan theory, Wile E. is actually trapped in a form of purgatory, doomed to repeat the same futile chase for eternity. This theory parallels ancient Greek myths like that of Sisyphus, condemned to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, or Tantalus, who could never quite reach the food and water he craved. Every failed scheme is part of his eternal punishment. The endless chase now seems less funny and more like a cosmic joke with no punchline. 9. The Dark Side of Rugrats, Angelica's Imaginary World. Rugrats may seem like an innocent show about the imaginative adventures of babies, but a fan theory suggests something far more sinister. According to this theory, all of the babies, Tommy, Chucky, Phil, and Lil, are figments of Angelica's imagination. Tommy was stillborn, Chucky and his mom died in a car accident, and Phil and Lil never existed because their mother had an abortion. Angelica, unable to cope with these harsh realities, invented the Rugrats to create a world where she could control the chaos around her. It's a deeply disturbing reinterpretation of what was once a light-hearted show. 10. Pee Wee Herman's career-destroying scandal. Paul Reubens, the actor who brought the iconic character Pee Wee Herman to life, saw his career crumble after a scandal in 1991. Reubens was arrested for indecent exposure in an adult theater, and the incident caused widespread outrage, effectively ending his run as Pee Wee. Though Reubens would later return to the role, the scandal left an indelible mark on his career. For many, Pee Wee Herman went from being a fun, eccentric character to a cautionary tale about the dangers of fame. 11. The Flintstones, Cartoons and Cigarettes. Believe it or not, the Flintstones once promoted smoking. In the early 1960s, before TV regulations became stricter, Fred and Barney were featured in commercials for Winston cigarettes. The idea of a beloved children's cartoon character puffing on cigarettes now seems absurd, but back then, it was a way to capitalize on the show's popularity with adults. This unsettling piece of history reminds us that advertising standards were quite different in the past. Fred Flintstone casually lighting up a cigarette is a stark contrast to the family-friendly image of the Stone Age characters we remember today. 12. Charlie Brown and the Great Depression. Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts, was known to channel his personal struggles into his work, particularly the melancholy of Charlie Brown. Schulz battled depression for most of his life, and it often seeped into the comic strips. Charlie Brown's constant failures and the unrelenting disillusionment with his friends, especially Lucy pulling the football away, mirror Schulz's own feelings of inadequacy. While the comic's humor often softened these themes, knowing that Schulz's own sadness inspired Charlie Brown's character adds a layer of poignancy to the seemingly simple strip. 13. Furbies were banned for spying. The cute, fuzzy Furbies of the late 90s seemed like harmless toys, but in 1999, they were banned by the NSA and the Pentagon. Why? Some people believed Furbies could record conversations and repeat them back, potentially leaking classified information. In reality, Furbies couldn't record anything at all. Their voice mimicking was based on pre-programmed phrases, but the hysteria led to a full-on ban. It's strange to think that a toy designed for kids sparked national security concerns. 14. The True Age of the Powerpuff Girls. We all remember the Powerpuff Girls as three adorable little superheroes created by Professor Utonium. But according to fan theories, the girls aren't exactly born in a conventional sense. Instead, they might be clones created in a lab, forever stuck at their age due to the chemical ingredients that made them. This eternal childhood, combined with their immense powers, suggests a far more dystopian origin story than the cheerful animation would have us believe. The girls are superhuman, but are they also doomed to never grow up? 15. The Wizard of Oz set was a nightmare. The Wizard of Oz is one of the most iconic films of all time, but the set was far from magical. Judy Garland, who played Dorothy, was subjected to cruel treatment throughout production, including being put on a strict diet of cigarettes and coffee to maintain her childlike figure. The Tin Man actor, Buddy Ebsen, was hospitalized due to aluminum dust poisoning from his makeup, and the Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton, suffered severe burns during a botched fire stunt. Behind the scenes, the world of Oz was much darker than the Technicolor dream presented on screen. 16. Aladdin's subtle adult message. Did you ever catch the hidden adult message in Disney's Aladdin? In one controversial scene, when Aladdin is trying to shoo Roger the Tiger away from Princess Jasmine's balcony, you can hear a faint voice that sounds like it's saying, "Good teenagers, take off your clothes." Although Disney claims it's just a misinterpretation of the dialogue, Many fans swear by what they hear. Whether it's a case of subliminal messaging or just poor audio mixing, it certainly adds an unexpected layer to this family classic. 17. Shrek's parody of Hollywood elites. Shrek might seem like just a fun fairy tale spoof, but it's also a sharp critique of Hollywood and its superficial culture. The villain, Lord Farquaad, with his tiny stature and oversized castle, is believed to be a jab at former Disney CEO Michael Eisner, who had a bitter fallout with Shrek creator Jeffrey Katzenberg. The movie's mocking tone and anti-establishment humor make it more than just a kids' movie. It's a biting satire of the entertainment industry. Once you realize that, Farquaad's over-the-top villainy takes on a whole new meaning. 18. The Lion King's dark real-life parallel. While The Lion King is based on Hamlet, it's also eerily similar to a historical event in Uganda. The real-life Lion King? That would be Uganda's dictator, Idi Amin, whose rise to power mirrored Scar's takeover of Pride Rock. Like Scar, Amin betrayed those close to him, seized power through treachery, and ruled with a brutal, authoritarian hand. Although The Lion King doesn't explicitly reference Amin, the parallels are chilling, making the animated epic more than just a Shakespearean retelling. 19. Pokémon and the Seizure Incident. In 1997, an episode of Pokémon titled Electric Soldier Porygon aired in Japan and triggered seizures in nearly 700 children due to rapidly flashing red and blue lights. The event became known as the Pokémon Shock Incident and led to the temporary suspension of the entire series. The show's producers had to issue apologies, and the episode was pulled from circulation, never to be aired again. For many, this incident is a stark reminder that even animated shows can have unintended, real-world consequences. 20. The Tragic Tale of the Land Before Time. The heartwarming tale of Littlefoot and his dinosaur friends in the Land Before Time is bittersweet when you learn about the tragic fate of its lead voice actress, Judith Barsi. Barsi, who voiced Ducky, was a rising star in Hollywood before she was tragically murdered by her father at just 10 years old. Her death cast a shadow over the success of the movie, and it's hard to watch the film without feeling the weight of what was lost behind her bright, cheerful performance. 21. Mr. Rogers and the Military Myth. There's a persistent urban legend that Fred Rogers, the beloved host of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, was a Navy SEAL sniper with confirmed kills during the Vietnam War. While it's a fascinating story, it's entirely false. Rogers was never in the military. His life was dedicated to teaching kindness, compassion, and understanding to children. The myth likely arose because people couldn't believe someone could be as genuinely good-natured as Rogers appeared to be, but the truth is, he really was as wholesome as he seemed. 22. Tarzan, Jane's connection to Beauty and the Beast. There's a fan theory suggesting that Jane from Disney's Tarzan is a descendant of Belle and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Jane's teapot set, which resembles Mrs. Potts, and her similar love for books are often cited as clues that she's connected to the classic fairy tale. While Disney has never confirmed this theory, the idea that these two beloved stories exist in the same universe adds a fascinating twist to both films. 23. The Dark History of Pinocchio. The original story of Pinocchio, written by Carlo Collodi, is far darker than the Disney version we all know. In Collodi's version, Pinocchio is hanged for his bad behavior, and the tale is filled with far more grim punishments for disobedient children. The Disney adaptation softened the story significantly, but if you ever read the original book, you'll find it to be more of a horror story than a heartwarming adventure. 24. Snow White's 7 Deadly Sins. Some fans believe that each of the 7 dwarfs in Snow White represents one of the 7 deadly sins. For example, Grumpy represents wrath, gluttony is clearly embodied by the dwarf who's always eating, and sloth is represented by Sleepy. This theory turns the dwarfs from lovable side characters into embodiments of human vice, making the movie a moral allegory instead of a simple fairy tale. 25. Barney the Dinosaur Lawsuits. The big, friendly purple dinosaur from Barney and Friends has been a source of happiness for many children, but behind the scenes, there were a number of legal battles. The creators of Barney sued people for creating violent parody songs about the character, such as I Hate You, You Hate Me, which became viral in the early days of the internet. Barney's legal team aggressively defended the character's wholesome image, taking down anyone who mocked the lovable Dino, making the world behind Barney much more contentious than the show itself.